All right. Well, welcome everybody to the first Bigger Profits networking event over here. So I just want to thank you guys first for actually showing up, because a lot of times it just takes showing up and just being at the right place at the right time to be able to meet a lot of great people. And it's Scottsdale, Phoenix area. We have so many talented, great people in the investing space, whether it's commercial or multifamily or whatever it is. And part of my goal is to be able to connect everybody together. And just by nature, I'm a connector. I love it. It kind of feeds my soul, and that's why we're all here today. But one problem that I've always had is, again, we go to a lot of events. We go to a lot of we'll fly to different places. We'll meet some amazing people. And the problem that I feel that I have is you get everyone's phone numbers and information, and you probably connect with like two people, three people after that. And those connections, lose track and end up just going away. And then we pay for going to another event. You spend whatever, $1,000, and then you got to pay for hotels and airlines. And all these events that we go to, we're only meeting, we're meeting a lot of people, but we're not building those deep lasting connections and relationships. So to solve that problem, I figured I'm going to start my, own meetup group, and we're going to actually try to foster deeper relationships and keep things more intentional. So that's part of my goal, and I'd like to do these events quarterly right now. But just off of that, I want to stay connected with everybody, and to do that, I just built an online community so we can actually just be meeting up, talking through that community, keep those connections and those relationships rolling. So I feel like I'm speaking to a lot of different people in the room, so I'm going to try to address today a little bit of everybody to kind of see where everybody's at. But before that, I'll go ahead and I will just introduce who I am. And just for fun, disclaimer, this is all for entertainment purposes and education purposes. Anything I tell you is not financial advice. Go talk to a CPA. All right, so about Chris Rassam, who am I? Well, I grew up in Michigan. Was my family actually immigrated over here from Iraq in the late 70s. So they left there and came to America, obviously, to provide a better, just more opportunities for themselves and for their kids. Me being their favorite one. Don't tell my sisters that. So grew up there, and we grew up in the restaurant business. So I was just working in the pizza restaurant business all my life. Was flipping pizza since I was like 5. And did finance over there, graduated with that. But my thing was, if I'm going to go work for somebody and put in 40 hours a week or whatever it is, I've always had the issue of why not do that for myself? Why not be an entrepreneur? If I'm going to put that time and that effort, that energy, why not do it to something where I can grow and scale? So pretty much out of college, me and one of my buddies at the time, we decided we'd go start a company. And so we got into the fintech business and flew to Arizona, packed up our bags, whatever we had, and just made it out here. So didn't start with too much, but we hustled. I mean, we grinded. So we started a company. We ended up growing that company. We serviced different business owners nationwide. We serviced ministries and churches nationwide, lots of hotels and hospitality. And it was definitely, blood, sweat, and tears to get, where I am today. But we did that for 13 years. We serviced thousands of business owners. And in 2017, 18, we got approached by a VC company to essentially to sell our company. They wanted to buy us. And at the time, that's difficult. You got something you built for 13 years, and you're like, this is my identity. This is kind of who I am. This is our baby. We ended up doing the deal. It was a good deal. So we ended up selling the company. We had a multi-million-dollar sale. And after that, it's like, what now? What am I supposed to hop into? I think I retired for about 30 minutes after a Netflix show. And then I'm like, I need to do something. So after that, I decided I wanted to get into real estate, which I've done a little bit of real estate, throughout, but I didn't have as much time back then. I had my license when I was 18 in Michigan. But when I had my company, it was all in, and I decided just to go all in into real estate investing. So got back into that and just kind of had my journey from learning everything from scratch at the time, I would say. So obviously we all hop into different categories of investing, and I'm sure everybody here is in a different category, whether you're a new and beginner investor, whether you're a seasoned investor, you might be a broker, a lender, wherever that is, you're kind of in a certain spot today. And that's kind of what I want to start just going through at a kind of a high level. And after that, we're going to actually do some breakout groups because I actually want you guys to network intentionally and get to know each other. So, as far as the journey today, I decided to start the Bigger Profits community. Again, part of the problem was, hey, we go to these places, we can't continually connect with people. In order to do that, we got to build a good community, and it should be intentional. So that's what I'm looking to do here and today. And the goal is to be able to learn, connect, grow, and scale. So first, if you're a beginner, start learning. So I have some materials I posted in the community that you guys can watch. Talks about commercial real estate. So for me, commercial real estate is what I target is multifamily, self-storage, RV parks, mobile home parks, more of that arena. You may target something different, which is completely fine. But again, the goal is for you guys to be able to learn, and everybody here has a story to tell. I'm not the only one that has a story to tell. So there's a lot of experienced people that I'm going to learn from, and I hope that you guys can learn from me as well. But that's the first goal, is to learn. The second is to connect, because you can learn and know everything about investing. You could probably find it all online at this point, but if you don't connect with people, you're not going to be able to find the deals. You're not going to be able to find the lenders you need. You're not going to be able to find the advice and strategies you need to take your growth and your action to another level. So connection, and that's what we're doing here today. We have growth. Growth comes through taking action. So for those of you who are new to real estate investing, you can learn everything online. I can give you all the knowledge in the world, but unless you go and take action and actually start doing, nothing's going to happen. You're going to have no growth. And that's where a lot of people stop, where they need a little bit of a boost of encouragement to keep on moving. So we'll retain all the knowledge. And then when it comes to calling an owner of a property, we get cold feet and we hang up and just like, okay, I'm going to go back to my 9-to-5 job. So I'm here to give you guys a boost of encouragement to be bold and take that action. And after you guys take that action, I mean, once you guys do a deal or two, if you're new, it becomes easier. It becomes your second nature. You know the language, you know the lingo, you know how to talk to brokers, to sellers, to different buyers, and you get a lot more comfortable. But again, it's having to do it and do the reps in order to get there. And then you have scaling. I mean, who here has bought one rental property and said, I'm just going to stop, and that's all I'm doing, and I'm just going to go to the beach and retire? Probably not many of you, and if you have, it probably hasn't worked out too good. So you have to know how to scale, and if you want to scale, there's different ways to do it. There's different ways to grow. There's different ways you have to have strategies in order to get funding, financing, just learn all of that so that you can start building an empire. And that's part of what I'm doing. That's part of what I want you guys to be able to do as well. And there's plenty of business out there, so I'm not shy to tell you guys what I'm doing, the strategies. I'm all about adding value to you guys, and in return, I want you guys to add value to each other, because there's more than enough business out there for everybody. So part of that too is like, what is your goal for 2025? So if I was going to ask everybody here, we're starting at the beginning of the year. You guys may have already failed in your commitments. I didn't make one, so I didn't have to fail. But doing this was one of my commitments. It was like, hey, I want to get a network group started up and I want to get people in the door. So that was that we could say that was one of my commitments. But what was yours and what's your plan for 2025 in order to grow? Because if you don't set a plan and if you don't write it down, you're probably not going to get anywhere. And with that, I would say set goals quarterly. It's easier to break them down into quarterly chunks than to say, hey, I'm going to do this by the end of 2025. Because then you just wait till December and you're like, I got 2026 to get that done. This is the investor transition for people in the room that are, this kind of shows where you might be today. And essentially, it's kind of the evolution of investing and kind of where you start your strategies to where you take them. So I would say we usually start with the buy and rent strategy. Hey, I'm going to buy a rental home. I'm going to have it. I'm going to have a mortgage on it, and Dave Ramsey said that I should buy it cash. So I don't know if I can get it, but if you do get a mortgage on it, those who have gotten rental homes know that you're probably not going to be making much. You might make a couple $100 on top of that rent. So essentially when you're buying and holding, you're waiting for that appreciation, or you're waiting to pay off that 15 to 30 year mortgage in order to really cash flow it. So for me, I looked at this strategy and I'm like, this isn't very appealing. You might make your, 6 to 8% return rate and wait for that appreciation, but it's going to just take way too long for me to grow to where I want to be. So that's kind of the first strategy. After that, we say, hey, what's this wholesaler strategy? If I want to go and not have to actually buy the house, what if I find a really good deal on the market, find something that's, 70 to 80%, market value, and get a really good deal on it. And I'll take that contract and sell it to an investor and make, on average, I would say wholesalers make about $10,000 when they take that deal to another investor and sell it off. I mean, that's not a bad strategy, because you can do that and be in and out with not much money and not much risk. But again, looking at that, it's a grind to find a lot of deals, because let's say you make $10,000. If you do, one a month, that's 10 grand a month. It's not bad. But for me, it's like, well, how do we get to 100 grand a month? Because 10,000 a month doing one deal is not enough. But then it comes to, hey, I need to have operations to be able to handle this many wholesale deals for residential and a whole pipeline. And again, it's essentially, it becomes a job. Now, is this a good strategy or a bad strategy? Like, yes and yes, depends. Depends how you look at it and what you're doing. There's a lot of people making a lot of money that are wholesaling residential deals, and they're doing great. But you're doing a lot of transactions with smaller chunks. So you go through that and you say, okay, well, maybe I want to fix and flip. I'm going to find the good deal and I'm going to take this house, I'm going to do the renovation, I'm going to take it to market, beautify it, and then be the next person on HGTV. And those who have done that, I mean, again, it's not a bad model to do. You can still make good money doing that. But then the risk with that is, let's say you bought something before they started hiking up interest rates, and you're like, it's a buyer's market, everybody's flooding in buying, I'm going to make a lot of money on this. Fix and flip let's say takes a year. And by then you have market cycles that change. Okay, so a year later, all of a sudden interest rates are at, 7, 8%. And that deal that looked good when you bought it at the time, all of a sudden nobody's buying and you're holding on to it, and you're just, paying lots of holding costs to your lenders. And again, I've done this. I've done new home builds, and we've had some that we've done great on selling. We've had some that have kind of lingered the last couple of years where nobody's been buying, and it just adds up to lots of lender fees, and you end up breaking even on it. So I've tested a lot of these theories, just so you guys know. So again, if you do fix and flips, not a bad thing, but it's like, okay, well, what's after that? How do we continue climbing up the mountain? And I think what a lot of people end up finding is commercial real estate is the main way to be able to scale and to really grow at a faster pace. So the difference is, if I'm going to get residential houses and want a 100 home portfolio, I got to find 100 different homes at good deals. And now I got to do 100 different closings. I got to, get 100 different loans, get 100 different insurance policies. And it's a lot more to have to deal with 100 different tenants that are scattered around. What's a way that I can consolidate that and have that be one purchase at one time and just work that to scale? And that's when you get into commercial. So for example, if you buy a 100-unit apartment building, instead you're dealing with one property that has 100 units. So it's economy of scale. And that's how people grow in the real estate business, is to have that economy of scale. And now you have one management company handling one property, and that's the only one you're dealing with. And also there's a lot of other funding options when it comes to funding and financing commercial properties that you can't always do with residential properties. So in the same way with self-storage, I love self-storage properties. If you have a self-storage property with, 2 to 500 doors, again, you got one property you're dealing with. You only have to find one deal, and you can make a lot of money that way. Now, a lot of people will look at residential wholesaling and say, well, if I made $10,000 wholesaling residential properties, how can I apply that to commercial? And this is just one of the exit strategies of many for commercial, is you can also wholesale commercial properties for six-figure profits instead of making, just $10,000. And I will share a simple example. And if you guys know cap rates and how to work those numbers, this is an easy example. If you find a commercial property for $1 million and you buy that off, you find it off market, you buy it at a 10% cap rate. I can't go to Patrick and say I want 10% cap rate because it's tough around here, especially to find it. But for the example, let's say you find something off market at a 10% cap rate, because I've done that, and you go to the market and resell it to another investor for an 8% cap rate. When you do the math, that's a $250,000 difference, and investors will buy happily at an 8% cap rate if the property still has value that you can add to it. So I'm all about the value add commercial deals where I can go in there, add the value, and then do a refinance, cash out, sell it, whatever the exit strategy I want to do. I have those options, and which is also another great thing about commercial real estate. So that's another thing that people maybe don't know as much about when it comes to commercial deals is, yeah, you can learn how to wholesale them. If you can't afford to buy them and hold them or do the renovations, you can do wholesaling with them. And if you can find the deals and be a person that's a deal finder, I mean, that's huge. Ask any investor in here, and they know how hard it is to find the good deals. And if you can bring good deals to us, we'd love you guys. So those are kind of just different high level things that are involved with commercial real estate, and then just taking you guys through the investor journey. And again, I don't know if you guys, we have some realtors here. And again, you might be a realtor saying, how do I actually stop just having a job of being a realtor and make money in this real estate game? Because you might see other investors making a lot of money and you're like, I can sell real estate, but I don't know all the strategies and the tactics of how to make money for myself. Or you might be a broker as well that wants to actually get in, and you know how to find the deals because you're a broker, but you want to start buying your own deals, which, is great. You might be somebody who's just hearing this for the first time and just starting off saying, how do I actually get into this? Or you might be a seasoned guy and saying, hey, I want to network with other like-minded investors so we can talk about tactics, we can share strategies, and we could, have each other's back. Like for myself, if there's a deal that I have a question about, I like having other guys that are high level, that are in the game, I can show that deal to and say, hey, what do you think? Will this get me in trouble, or will this be a profitable deal? So that's all built around community, around connecting, and just having some growth. So with that, we also have some advantages of commercial real estate. Again, this is just high level. We have recession resilience. I mean, when it comes to multifamily and apartments, for example, everyone's familiar with those. I mean, how many people now can afford a starter home? especially people that are in their 20s or 30s. The next generation, unfortunately, is in trouble when it comes to buying a house because houses have just gone up dramatically due to inflation. So a lot of people are going to have to continue renting until they can afford a house. So affordable housing is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So that's why when it comes to apartments, they're recession resistant. Self-storage as well. I love self-storage and it's recession resistant as well because in the good economies, people need to store their junk. In the bad economies, people have to downsize from their homes. They end up, maybe renting or going into apartments and they got to store their belongings somewhere. So those are a couple of really, really good ones off the top. You got stable demand, you got scalability. I mean, you're able to scale faster by, again, economy of scale, because now you can get, a 20 unit, a 50 unit, a 100 unit apartment building and be able to just have one transaction. And then you get to go look for the other one instead of trying to find 20 different houses. So it's all also about efficiency. If you can have efficiency, that's another way that you can continue to grow and scale. We have operating efficiencies. I mean, how hard is it to manage one apartment building versus 20 homes that are all separate? Again, it's much easier. Hedge against inflation. Again, that goes back to recession resistant properties. Tax benefits, those who are in real estate, we love the tax benefits because we get to write off a lot of stuff. Um, and then also financing advantages. I mean, you guys can learn to creatively finance commercial properties so many different ways, which is one thing that I love with seller financing. And then, there's traditional financing, there's seller financing, there's lots of different ways you can finance properties. I want everybody to stay connected up, and that's part of the goal. So if you're not staying connected up, I'm doing something wrong because I'm not sharing with you how we can all stay connected. So right now, and a lot of this is newly launched, so I'd love for you guys to get some likes, subscribes, and help me out grow the channels. That would be helpful for me. But you guys can scan this QR code. Essentially has the links for YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Most importantly is, which you'll be able to find all those, is the new Skool community that I just started up. So the Skool community is going to be where I'm going to actively be posting different things going on, actively posting strategies, tips, tricks. I already have some videos, an intro to commercial real estate, and some other videos that you guys can watch to just start getting some information. So again, my job is to add value to you guys and get everybody connected, and your guys' job is to take action. Also, something else I'm doing is happy hour. So this is going to be an online happy hour again to see your faces again. So next Wednesday from 3 to 4 p.m., we're going to do a happy hour call. It'll be just a Zoom call or a Google Meets call. And that way we can, again, if someone has questions, we'll do some Q&A. It'll be just kind of generic. If someone has like a deal with questions, you can ask a couple questions about that. It's going to kind of be open. Again, the goal is to see how can I serve you. And if you guys do have questions, I want to be able to hear those and help you guys out. So we'd love to have you guys scan that code and hop onto the Skool community. I have a lot more content I'm working on taping to put on there. So just keep up with that, which would be appreciated.